good to go?
Yeah, it's good.
Alright, so this brings us to Wednesday, January 29th. We'll go ahead and finish our overthrowing of our parents and stuff like that. Homework coming up due Monday, quiz due tomorrow. Speedy version. Mount Olympus! Who is it that built Mount Olympus?
The Olympians.
Nice done. The 12 original Titans. And how many thrones were in Mount Olympus? 12. Nicely done. And then from there we got to the overthrow of Uranus. Who overthrew Uranus? Chronos. Nice one. What weapon does he use? A scythe made out of adamantium. And then he has to wait until Father Sky comes down to hug Mother Earth. What time of day is that? Nighttime. Jumps up, booga booga, slashy slashy, screamy screamy, little girl. Whee! And then all the way until Uranus gets to the edge of the world, because the world is not a ball. How is the world shaped? Like a big flat dish. And then before he gets to kill him, what is it Uranus turns and gives to him? A curse. Nicely done. And the curse says something about his children. What are his children going to do? Overthrow him. Overthrow him, and then their children will overthrow him, and so on and so forth. And then Uranus disappears. Now Chronos is the new king of all the gods. Who is it that wanted him to overthrow Uranus? Mother Earth. Why? Nice one, to get them all back. Now that Chronos is the new king, does he release them?
No.
Why?
They're ugly.
Because they're ugly and they scare him. So now that he is king, he decides to add some more homies to his posse. The first homie that he adds to his posse is Prometheus, who has a superpower. What's his superpower?
Super smart.
Super smart and?
Seeing the future.
Seeing into the future. And Prometheus has a brother named?
Prometheus.
Who has a superpower which is?
Nice.
Well done. Being super dumb. And they have a third brother named? Atlas. Nicely done. Atlas' superpower is?
Super strong.
Nicely done. Super strong. And then we're going to get to the story today where not only is he super strong, but we're also going to have the part where he gets to become general of the Titan army. And the fact that he's going to take over and have that job, where it's not that part of the story yet. Then that was the picture of Atlas, and he'll be talking about him holding the world on his back and stuff like that. Then we decide to create humans. Chronos wants to have humans so we can go around and smash them, but he's not smart enough to do it himself. So who does he have to step up and do it for him? Prometheus. What two ingredients does Prometheus use?
Water. Ground.
Nice. Water and ground works between water and dirt or mud. And he sprinkles a little stuff on it and brings them to life. Humans like Chronos because there's only one season while Chronos is alive, and that is summertime. And there's no evil, and there's no women, so they're happy. Mr. Brovicast, that's the same thing. Come on, that's me. So now we have things going well, except Chronos is still worried about the whole curse thing. So with him being worried about the curse, he has to figure out what to do with his children. Now, first choice would be, of course, to kill them, because killing babies is always a fun hobby. Why can't he kill his babies?
They're gone.
They're gone. It's not going to be good. He could also throw them in Tartarus, because he knows where the pit is. The problem is, who is trying to get the people out of Tartarus? Mother Earth. It's not going to work either. So he comes up with a different plan. So where's he going to put his babies?
His stomach.
In his stomach. How many babies did we get through him eating?
5.
5 babies. And so he keeps eating all the different babies until he gets to the 6th baby. He doesn't eat the 6th baby. What's he eat instead? A rock. Little baby clothes on and stuff like that. And what's the rock's name?
We don't know.
We haven't gotten
We didn't get that far.
We didn't even know he had the part where
We didn't get to the rock yet?
Where Gia made the plan.
Oh, okay. That's where we got to. So she got to the part where she's making the plan with them. And she was like, so she's talking to Rhea, and Rhea's like, well then, how about this? We'll back up. Mother Earth says, why don't you give him a rock instead? And Rhea's like, well, that'll never work. She's like, of course it will. He's a guy. She's like, oh, good point. So Rhea, the next time she gives birth to a little baby by the name of Zeus. She runs little baby Zeus down to Mother Earth. She's like, take my baby. And Mother Earth takes the baby and says, take my rock. And she gives the rock to Rhea. Rhea takes the rock, puts little baby clothes on it, a little smiley face on it, runs back up to Mount Olympus and finds Chronos in there, who's just sitting back and watching TV and eating some popcorn. And she walks in and she's like, Chronos, we had another baby. Don't eat this one. And she walks over to him and he's like, no, I would never eat a baby. That'd be silly. Where's the baby? Right there. Oops, I ate it. I'm sorry. Just keeps going. She's like, oh no, you ate my baby. And she walks away. Rhea's happy because she gets to keep her baby, and she realizes her husband's an idiot. Chronos is happy because he thinks he got to eat a baby, and his wife is an idiot. Zeus is happy because he didn't get eaten. So it's like a win-win-win situation. Years go by, and Zeus grows up down on Earth with Gaia talking to him, and he only gets to see his mom on occasion. Years go by, and eventually Zeus is talking to Mother Earth. He's like, "Hey, Grandmammy." He's like, "Sometimes I get really lonely." She's like, She decides now is the time to have Chronos get overthrown, because she's tired of him being free since he won't free her other children. So she puts her plan into motion. She goes, "Little Zeus, why are you lonely?" He goes, "Well, I don't have any brothers or sisters. I just have a centaur to keep me company." Mother Earth goes, "But you do have brothers and sisters." He goes, "I do?" She goes, "Yes, you have 5 of them." He goes, "I do? Where are they?" She goes, "They're with your father." He goes, "I have a father?" He goes, "Yes, you have a father and you have brothers and sisters." He's like, "Well, what's wrong? Why can't I hang out with them?" She goes, "Well, your father ate your brothers and sisters." He goes, "Come again?" He's like, "Well, when they were small, he ate all of your brothers and sisters except for you." Zeus is like, "Oh, no, he didn't." She's like, "Oh, yes, he did." And so he decides he is going to free his brothers and sisters. And Mother Earth is like, "That's a great idea. Your father is Chronos, king of all the gods. You should free your brothers and sisters and take his spot." And Zeus is like, "I think I will, Grandmammy. Thank you." And so Zeus's idea is that he's going to go grab a sword, run up to Mount Olympus, kick in the door, run up there, and just chop his father in half and free his brothers and sisters. And he tells his girlfriend at the time this plan. His girlfriend goes, "It might not be a good idea." He's like, "Why wouldn't that be a good idea?" And she's like, "Where are your brothers and sisters?" He's like, "In his stomach." She's like, "What are you going to do? Chop him right in half?" Well, the problem is, if you do that, what's going to happen to his brothers and sisters?
He's going to kill them.
Yeah, they're going to get shot. Now, it's not going to kill them, but you don't want to meet your brother and sister for the first time like, "Hi, my daddy ate me. I used to have arms and legs." It doesn't work very well. She's like, "There's got to be a better way to do it." He's like, "Well, what else besides stabbing?" He's like, "Stabbing works so well." She's like, "Well, think about it. They're inside of his stomach, and you want to get them out of his stomach. If only there were a process, a way of getting things from inside the tummy to out of the tummy. And that would be puking, throwing up." So she goes, "Why don't you give him a potion to make him throw up?" She's like, "Well, that's not as much fun as stabbing, but okay, it's a pretty good idea." So they come up with a little pukey potion, mix a few things together, and they have a little pukey potion. By the way, on the blue sheet, we should have gotten through about 15 or 16. By the end of today, we should be all the way through question number 30, just so you have an idea. So we're all the way on to the back side by the end of today. So just to keep you a heads up on the blue sheet. So Zeus puts on a disguise, goes up to Mount Olympus, and knocks on the front door. Chronos comes and opens it. He's like, "Hey, who are you?" Zeus is like, "Oh, I'm Leroy, god of squirrels." They're like, "Oh, all right." And so he goes ahead and invites him. He's like, "You must be a new god." He's like, "Yeah, brand new." And invites Zeus in. Zeus is like, "So what are you doing?" And Chronos is like, "Oh, not much, just watching football." Zeus is like, "Who's playing?" Chronos is like, "Oh, my favorite team, Titans." And so they sit down there and they're watching. And so they're sitting there watching TV together. When Zeus is like, "Hey, are you thirsty? You want anything to drink?" Chronos is like, "Yeah, I would. In the fridge, I got some of my favorite drinks back there." And Zeus goes back there and he's like, "All I see in here is Mountain Dew." He's like, "That's my favorite drink."
Mountain Dew.
Oh my gosh. And so Zeus goes ahead and gets out 2 Mountain Dews, pours them out there, takes one of them, and is like, "Pukey potion." And then takes them back over to Chronos. He's like, "Hey, I got you something to drink. One of these is yours." That one's yours. And then sets it down. He's like, "Cheers," and then ching, and they both like, glug. Zeus watching the whole time. Chronos is like, tastes like baby, and throws the cup to the side. And all of a sudden he's like, my tummy is very good. Zeus is like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't." And all of a sudden, a rock lands in front of them, wearing baby clothes, with a little smiley face on it. Chronos looks at the rock, looks at Zeus. Zeus looks at him. They look at the rock. Like, you ate a rock?" Chronos like, "I don't remember eating a rock." And all of a sudden he's like, and spits up 5 more times. Each time he does, out comes a little person from his mouth, lands on the ground in front of them, all covered in like stomach slime. They freak out. Chronos is like, ah, tummy goblins! And he backs up, and Zeus is like, what? Because as soon as the people land, they're like, yeah, you take off. They throw off like all the slime, and they grow up to full size. Make sure you grab the nurse pass that's over there. They go up to full size, right there in front of them. These 5 people that he spits up are we done. The Hades, Hestia, Demeter, Poseidon, Hera, the 5 brothers and sisters. As soon as they come up to full size, then Zeus is like, attack, brothers and sisters, get them! And they all go running at Chronos. Chronos is like, ah, tummy goblins! And goes running outside of Mount Olympus. He's like, come, brothers and sisters, help me fight the tummy goblins! And there, Zeus and Chronos have this big war that breaks out between the 2 of them. The 2 sides fighting back and forth. Half the gods, the titans in existence, start helping out Zeus' side because Zeus was very charismatic, very outgoing, and people liked him. The other half followed Chronos because Chronos has been the king of the gods for so long. So both sides sort of split up. Some people were like, I don't think you should eat babies. Eating babies is wrong. And they joined Zeus' side. And others like, you should be able to eat all the babies you want. They're delicious. And they joined Chronos' side. And the big war keeps going. The problem is, neither side can win during this war. And it goes on for thousands of years. Why can neither side win?
No one dies.
Yeah, no one dies. They're all immortal. You spend all day going, stab, stab, chop, chop, stab, stab. And at the end of the night, they're like, thunk, 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 thunk. Yeah. And they come right back the next day, like, oh man, I spent all day chopping you. And so it does no good. So this goes on forever and ever and ever. Well, during this whole big war and the fighting going back and forth, Zeus goes and talks to his grandmother, Grandmammy Gia. And he goes down and talks. But the problem is now thousands of years have gone by, and Grandmammy's getting a little old. And when Grandmammy gets old, she's getting a little senile in the brain, and she kind of gets rambling and babbly. Not everything she says makes sense.
Like a witch?
So, sort of like a
Old person.
like an old person. And so, like a witch, if that makes you feel better. Yes, yes, grandmothers were all like witches. You should tell them. Hello, he said. And so he goes and talks to Grandmammy Gia. And he's like, Grandmammy, I'd like to win this war, but I can't figure out how to make that happen. Any advice you can give me? And Gia gives him the perfect advice. She goes, he who released the beast within shall turn the tide of war. Zeus goes, I have no idea what you're talking about, old lady. And she's like, he who turns. She's like, I heard the word. She's like, it doesn't make any sense to me, you crazy old lady, you witch. And so from there, she's like, I'm not a witch. And so he then wanders off. Now, she's trying to help him because who's she referring to?
Tartarus.
Yeah, Tartarus. But he doesn't know Tartarus exists, so it doesn't help him at all. So he goes ahead and spends some time trying to figure it out. About this same time, Prometheus uses his superpower. And what's Prometheus' superpower?
Seeing the future.
Into the future is going, oh no! Sees into the future and sees that Chronos is going to lose the war. So Prometheus runs down to Chronos. He's like, Chronos, bad news. Chronos like, what's up? Prometheus goes, I looked into the future, I did my na-na-na thing, and I see that you're going to lose the war. Chronos is like, well, is there any way we can avoid it? He goes, yes. Chronos goes, what is it? He goes, you're going to have to make amends, make a friendship with your children, and apologize, and you're going to have to live in harmony and equality with them. And Chronos is like, that's not going to happen, because they're going to try and kill me, and I'm going to try and kill them, so no, I'm going to have to try and win. Prometheus is like, you can't. He's like, not only do you not win, but any god that fights with you is tortured at the end of the war. And so Zeus and Prometheus fight, and Prometheus is like, fine, I can't stay with you, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to leave. So he leaves Chronos. It's like, I'm switching sides. Before he leaves, he tries to take both his brothers with him. Goes and talks to Epimetheus. He's like, Epimetheus, can you come switch sides with me? Epimetheus is like, yes, I ate a squirrel. He's like, that's weird, but thank you. And Epimetheus is like, what? He's like, fine. Epimetheus, stick. Epimetheus is like, "Roo-dee-doo-dee." And so he gets Epimetheus to come with him. And Epimetheus is all excited. He then goes and talks to Atlas, his other brother. He's like, Atlas, will you come and join me? And Atlas goes, I can't. He's like, you understand, you're going to lose. Atlas goes, I understand that, but I'm the general of this army. I leave my men. It's dishonorable. He's like, I can't live with myself. Even knowing that I'm going to lose, I have to stay and help them. Prometheus is like crying. He's like, horrible things happen. Atlas is like, be strong, little brother. And they go over and do a little bro hug on the back, and they separate and go their own ways.
And then they stab each other?
Yes, they stab. You are a special child. Prometheus and Epimetheus, they tap, bro hug, You tap on the back?
Yeah, with swords and you stab
Chug,
them. You're like, nah.
You have different brothers than I do. And so Prometheus and Epimetheus then head over to Zeus and like knock on Zeus's little cave wall. And they're like, hey, we're here to come hang out with you and help you. And Zeus is like, well, okay, do you have any special talents? And Prometheus is like, yeah, I can see into the future. Watch out, you're going to stub your toe. Zeus is like, what? Ow! He's like, you can stay. He's like, what's the other guy do? He's like, that's my brother. He's like, you have a special ability? He's like, yeah. He's like, what is it? He's like, Epimetheus, wall. Runs into the wall. He's like, you can stay. And so he goes ahead and keeps Prometheus and Epimetheus on his side. Years keep going by, and one day Zeus says, hey, I've been trying to find a way to solve this riddle. Can you help me out? And he tells Prometheus about the whole he'd release the beast within. Prometheus goes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. He goes, what? He goes, the pit of Tartarus. We're talking about the Hecatonishears and the Cyclops that are trapped. Gia's first children. So he's like, the who, the what's, and the where to who's? And he's like, what? And so Prometheus explains to him how the pit of Tartarus, how it works. He goes, if you release them, they're powerful enough to help you. But be forewarned, they're a little on the ugly side. He's like, I've seen uggos before. He's like, I don't think you. And Zeus like, talk to the hand. He's like, whatever. So Zeus heads down there, runs down to the pit of Tartarus, opens the giant door, boom, and walks in. He's like, hello, hello, I'm Zeus, Zeus, here to free you. And then walks through the pit. He's like, hey, you. And throws up all over the top. And he's like, oh, okay, that's beyond ugly. He's like, seriously. But he really wants to win. He's like, okay, you can do this. And he walks back over to the pit, looks down, and he's like, hey, big ugly monsters, how'd you like to be free? And they go, barga, 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 barga. And he's like, I think that's a yes. Here's what we're going to do. I want you to help me fight the person who kept you trapped in here, my father. Will you help me? And they're like, barga, barga. He's like, I think that's a yes. But here's the problem. You're horrifyingly ugly. Like frighteningly so. So at the end of this whole war, when we win, I need you to do me a favor. And they're like, barga, barga. He's like, yeah. Can you go to the edge of the world and hide so we never have to see you or look at your face? And they're like, barga, barga. He's like, I know, but you get to be free. And they're like, barga, barga. So they decide to free the big ugly monsters on the agreement they hide on the edge of the world. Once they come out, he then turns to the sea. He's like, hey, you guys, funny looking eyeball thing. He's like, what can you do? And they're like, we make really sharp weapons and armor. And he's like, done! So he brings them too. So he brings the Cyclops and he brings the big ugly monsters, and they come out there, and things start to turn the tide of the war. During this war, the humans die out because the gods are fighting and they're jumping off the tops of mountains like atomic elbow and slamming into each other, and they fall backwards on little human villages like, ow, that hurt, wasn't it? Oh, that was a person. And so all the humans die during the war from being crushed and squished and destroyed. And because we can't make more except from Prometheus, Prometheus is a little busy with the whole war thing, the first race of humans dies. Well, the big ugly monsters are so big because they're big enough that the Titans only come up to their toes. They do more damage than the Titans have ever felt before. Whereas before, they spend all day stabbing each other, the big ugly monster walks and goes, you just get flattened. Like, yeah, that hurts so much. And so it was very effective. Or they would just pick up a mountain and be like, so all of a sudden, these Titans are feeling more pain than they've ever experienced. Plus, the Cyclops decide to make weapons for the three brothers to help them out. For Zeus, they make a special weapon for him. And that is? Close. It's actually a bucket.
A bucket?
A bucket of lightning bolts. They make him a bucket of lightning bolts he could reach into, pull lightning bolts out, and fling them like electronic quitters. There's actually a photograph they have of the Cyclops when they made it. It looked just like that. And so that was the bucket of lightning bolts that they made for him. The second brother that helps him out, Poseidon, he gets Trident, which allows him to control water. So that's the Trident. It allows him to stab 3 people at once. He can also cook multiple hot dogs and handle lunch breaks, and allows him to control water. Then the third brother, Hades, he gets a helmet of invisibility. When he put it on, he would turn invisible, and then you couldn't see him. If you look carefully up here in this one, you'll notice that you can't see it. It's invisible. So it doesn't do you any good. Plus, they actually have a photograph of it. It looks exactly like that. Was the helmet of I got you. And so the three of them would spend their time fighting, and all of a sudden now these Titans are having more damage dealt than they'd ever experienced before. Now, given Hades doesn't feel like a big weapon, he spent most of his time like turning invisible and giving wedgies and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's uncomfortable. And so it was very effective. Now, at the end of the war, the Titans give up. They're like, we give, make the pain stop. So now what happens is the Cyclops end up going and hiding in a mountain so they can go and work on their own. The big ugly monsters go where?
End of the world.
Edge of the world. And all the Titans who fought against Zeus, he puts them down in Tartarus. Except for 11. 11 Titans don't get put in the pit of Tartarus. And we'll figure out which ones are tomorrow.
Wait.
Actually, it might be Friday.
Wait, it says who were the new weapons?
Oh,
Who?
monsters.
Who?
Tomorrow, remind me before the test, we need to talk about the battle in the sky. That's like the last thing we need to get to with you guys. And that'll be it. Now you can take off.